It was just another Monday morning in the city for Alex Chun, a 28-year-old graphic designer with a penchant for organization and a slight addiction to iced lattes. Alex lived in a cozy one-bedroom apartment in the Arts District, surrounded by half-finished sketches and a collection of vintage vinyl records that would make any music enthusiast jealous. With dark-rimmed glasses perched on his nose and an ever-present messenger bag slung across his shoulder, Alex navigated life with a careful balance of creative spontaneity and practical planning. That particular Monday, however, would prove that even the most meticulous plans can lead to unexpected adventures. The day had started chaotically. Alex's alarm failed to go off, leaving him with exactly 23 minutes to shower, dress, and make it to an important client meeting across town. As he rushed out the door, hair still damp and toast hanging from his mouth, Alex barely registered the slight lightness in his back pocket, where his wallet usually sat snugly against his hip. It wasn't until he reached for his transit card at the subway station that panic set in, a cold, creeping sensation that started in his stomach and quickly spread throughout his body. "No, no, no," Alex muttered, patting his pockets frantically while fellow commuters streamed around him like water around a rock. His wallet was gone. The worn leather billfold contained not just his ID and credit cards, but also a faded photo of his late grandmother, a pressed four-leaf clover he'd found on his college graduation day, and a handwritten note from his best friend that had gotten him through some tough times. The monetary contents could be replaced, but those personal treasures were irreplaceable. Alex retraced his steps mentally, trying to pinpoint where he might have dropped it. Had it fallen out when he'd pulled his phone from his pocket at the corner cafe? Or perhaps when he'd rushed to catch the crosswalk signal? The possibilities seemed endless in a city of millions, and the likelihood of someone returning a found wallet seemed about as probable as winning the lottery without buying a ticket. With a heavy heart and a heavier sense of dread, Alex called his bank to freeze his cards, contacted the DMV about replacing his license, and resigned himself to the loss of those personal mementos that had accompanied him through life's journey. He managed to make it through his client meeting by borrowing money for the subway and explaining his disheveled appearance with a self-deprecating joke about Monday mornings. By evening, exhausted and disheartened, Alex had almost convinced himself that the wallet was simply the universe's way of reminding him that material possessions were temporary. Then his phone rang. "Hello, is this Alex Chin?" The voice on the other end was warm, with a slight accent that Alex couldn't quite place. "Yes, speaking," Alex replied cautiously, unfamiliar with the number that had appeared on his screen. "My name is Jamie Rodriguez. I think I found your wallet this morning near Riverfront Park. Your business card was inside." Alex felt a surge of hope so powerful it nearly knocked him back onto his sofa. "You found my wallet? Are you serious? That's amazing." Jamie chuckled, a sound that somehow conveyed both amusement and understanding. "I know how it feels to lose something important. I'd want someone to do the same for me." They arranged to meet at a coffee shop halfway between their locations the following evening. Alex offered profuse thanks, which Jamie dismissed with casual grace. After hanging up, Alex sat in stunned silence, contemplating the rarity of such honesty in a city often characterized by its indifference. Jamie Rodriguez, as Alex would soon discover, was a 30-year-old marine biologist who had recently moved to the city to work at the aquarium's conservation department. With curly black hair that fell just above warm brown eyes and a smile that seemed perpetually on the verge of laughter, Jamie approached life with an infectious enthusiasm that drew people in like moths to a gentle flame. That morning, while jogging through Riverfront Park, Jamie had spotted the wallet lying beneath a bench, partially hidden by fallen leaves. Without hesitation, Jamie had picked it up, intending to turn it in to park security, but upon opening it to check for identification, had found Alex's business card and decided that a direct approach would be faster and more reliable. The coffee shop where they agreed to meet was a small, independently owned establishment called The Daily Grind, known for its ethically sourced beans and eclectic artwork adorning the walls. Alex arrived 15 minutes early, nervously ordering a cappuccino and claiming a table near the window where he could watch for his wallet's savior. He wasn't entirely sure what to expect, perhaps an elderly Good Samaritan or a harried parent who had somehow found time for this good deed amidst their busy day. What Alex didn't expect was Jamie, confident, charismatic Jamie, who walked through the door at exactly 6:30 p.m., scanning the room before breaking into a wide smile upon spotting Alex. There was something immediately disarming about Jamie's presence, a kind of genuine warmth that seemed to radiate outward and envelop those nearby. Alex. Jamie approached the table, extending a hand. I recognized you from your ID photo, though I have to say, you look much better in person. Alex felt a blush creep up his neck as he stood to shake Jamie's hand. That's very kind of you to say. DMV lighting isn't exactly flattering for anyone. True enough, Jamie laughed, sliding into the seat opposite Alex and placing the familiar leather wallet on the table between them. Everything should still be there. I didn't touch anything except to find your contact information. Alex opened the wallet with reverent hands, relief washing over him as he saw his grandmother's photo still tucked safely in its plastic sleeve. I can't tell you how much this means to me. There are things in here that I could never replace. The photo of the older woman? Jamie asked softly. She has your smile. My grandmother, Alex confirmed, surprised and touched that Jamie had noticed the resemblance. She raised me after my parents died. This picture was taken on her 70th birthday, about a year before she passed away. A moment of understanding passed between them, a connection forged in the shared recognition of what truly matters in life. Alex cleared his throat, suddenly aware of how personal the conversation had become with a complete stranger. Please, let me pay you for your trouble. A reward or... Jamie waved a dismissive hand. I don't want your money, Alex. But I have to give you something. You went out of your way, took time from your day. There must be something I can do to thank you properly. A mischievous glint appeared in Jamie's eyes then, accompanied by a slight tilt of the head that suggested an idea had just formed. Well, there's one thing. Name it, Alex said eagerly, prepared to offer almost anything within reason. Have dinner with me this weekend, Jamie proposed, leaning forward slightly. Consider it my reward for being such an upstanding citizen. Alex blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected suggestion. Dinner? Like a date. Exactly like a date, Jamie confirmed, confidence tempered with a hint of vulnerability. Unless I've completely misread this situation, in which case I'll accept your awkward rejection with as much dignity as possible. The proposition hung in the air between them, unexpected yet somehow not unwelcome. Alex studied Jamie's face, noting the genuine interest there, the absence of pressure or expectation. It had been months since Alex's last relationship had ended, a mutual but nonetheless painful separation that had left him cautious about opening himself up again. Yet there was something about Jamie that felt different, a sincerity that cut through Alex's usual defenses. I haven't been on a date in a while, Alex admitted, fingers tracing patterns on the tabletop. I might be a bit rusty. That makes two of us, Jamie replied with disarming honesty. My last relationship ended when I moved here for the aquarium job. 6 months of being single in a new city has mostly involved me talking to fish and the occasional potted plant. Alex couldn't help but laugh at the image. Well, when you put it that way, how can I refuse? At the very least, I'd be providing a public service by giving you someone other than marine life to converse with. Exactly. Think of it as your good deed for the day, Jamie said, eyes crinkling with humor. So is that a yes? After a moment's consideration, Alex nodded. Yes, it's a date. They spent the next hour planning their evening together, discovering a mutual love for Thai food and agreeing on a well-reviewed restaurant in Jamie's neighborhood. As they exchanged phone numbers and finalized details, Alex couldn't help but marvel at the strange series of events that had led to this moment. A lost wallet, a chance finding, and now a date with someone who, under normal circumstances, he might never have encountered. The days leading up to their date were filled with an anticipation that Alex hadn't felt in years. He found himself checking his phone more frequently, smiling at the occasional text from Jamie. Updates about an octopus at the aquarium that had learned to unscrew jar lids, or photos of particularly impressive latte art from various coffee shops around the city. Each message revealed another facet of Jamie's personality: curious, observant, quick to find joy in small things. By Saturday evening, as Alex stood before his closet deliberating between a blue button-down and a gray sweater, he realized that he was genuinely excited, not just nervous. He settled on the blue shirt. It brings out your eyes, his grandmother would have said, and arrived at the restaurant 10 minutes early, only to find Jamie already waiting outside, looking equally well-dressed and slightly anxious. "Great minds think alike," Jamie said by way of greeting, gesturing to their mutual punctuality. "I've always been pathologically early to everything. It drives my friends crazy." "Same here," Alex admitted as they were led to their table, a cozy corner spot illuminated by the warm glow of hanging lanterns. "I'd rather wait 30 minutes than be 30 seconds late." The restaurant, Siam Garden, was intimate without being intimidating, with soft music playing in the background and the rich aromas of lemongrass and basil permeating the air. As they settled into their seats and perused the menu, the initial awkwardness that often accompanies first dates gradually dissolved into comfortable conversation. Jamie, it turned out, had grown up in a small coastal town before pursuing marine biology, driven by a childhood fascination with tide pools and their miniature ecosystems. "I was that weird kid who preferred Jacques Cousteau documentaries to cartoons," Jamie explained, laughing at the memory. "My bedroom walls were covered with pictures of whales and dolphins instead of rock stars." "That's not weird, that's passionate," Alex countered, finding himself genuinely interested in Jamie's journey. "I was similarly obsessed with art books. I used to redraw famous paintings in my sketchbooks, trying to understand how the artists created certain effects." As they shared spring rolls and spicy tom yum soup, their conversation flowed naturally from childhood memories to professional aspirations, punctuated by moments of laughter and occasional comfortable silences. Jamie spoke about conservation work at the aquarium with such enthusiasm that Alex found himself captivated not just by the subject matter, but by the evident joy it brought to Jamie's expression. "Sorry," Jamie said after a particularly long explanation about coral reef preservation efforts. "I tend to ramble when I get started on marine ecosystems. Feel free to change the subject whenever I go overboard." "Don't apologize," Alex replied sincerely. "It's refreshing to hear someone talk about their work with such genuine passion. Besides, I'm learning a lot. Prior to this evening, my knowledge of marine biology was limited to what I learned from Finding Nemo." Jamie's laughter rang out, drawing momentary glances from nearby diners. "Well, to be fair, Finding Nemo got some things right. Clownfish do have symbiotic relationships with sea anemones, though they don't typically embark on cross-ocean rescue missions." When their main courses arrived, green curry for Alex and pad cew for Jamie, they fell into a comfortable rhythm of sharing food and stories. Alex described his work as a graphic designer, the satisfaction of helping clients visualize their ideas, and the creative freedom that came with freelance projects. "I'd love to see your portfolio sometime," Jamie said, eyes bright with genuine interest. "The way you talk about design makes it sound like a form of translation, turning concepts into visual language." "That's exactly what it is," Alex replied, pleasantly surprised by Jamie's insight. Not many people understand that aspect of it. As the evening progressed, Alex found himself increasingly drawn to Jamie's combination of intelligence, humor, and unpretentious warmth. There was a refreshing authenticity in their interactions, a lack of the usual first date performance where both parties present carefully curated versions of themselves. Instead, Jamie seemed content to be genuine, occasionally self-deprecating and unabashedly enthusiastic about both serious topics and silly observations. The unexpected depth of their connection became apparent when, over shared mango sticky rice, the conversation turned to family. Jamie spoke about growing up with supportive parents who had initially been confused by their child's obsession with marine life, but had ultimately driven hours to take young Jamie to aquariums and beaches. "They didn't always understand me, but they always supported me," Jamie explained, a hint of emotion coloring the words. "When I came out to them in high school, their response was basically, 'That's nice, dear. Are you still planning to major in marine biology?' It was so anticlimactic that I almost felt cheated out of a dramatic coming-out story." Alex smiled, though there was a touch of wistfulness in his expression. "That sounds wonderful. My grandmother was similar when I came out, practical, loving, unfazed. She just wanted to know if this meant she should stop trying to set me up with the granddaughter of her bridge partner." "And your parents?" Jamie asked gently, sensing the unspoken story behind Alex's words. "They died when I was 8, Alex said, the familiar ache of that loss softened by time but never truly gone. "Car accident. My grandmother raised me after that. She was my rock, my biggest supporter. When she passed away 3 years ago, it felt like losing my parents all over again. Jamie reached across the table, fingers lightly touching Alex's hand in a gesture of comfort. I'm so sorry, Alex. That explains why that photo in your wallet means so much to you. The simple acknowledgement of his loss, without platitudes or awkward changes of subject, touched Alex deeply. He turned his hand palm up, briefly squeezing Jamie's fingers in silent thanks. She would have liked you, Alex said after a moment, surprising himself with the certainty of that statement. She always said she could tell a person's character within 5 minutes of meeting them. Her judgment was rarely wrong. High praise, Jamie replied with a soft smile. I would have liked to meet her. As they finished their dessert and declined the waiter's offer of more tea, both seemed reluctant for the evening to end. The restaurant had gradually emptied around them, though neither had noticed the passing time, too engrossed in their conversation. Would you like to walk for a bit? Jamie suggested as they stepped outside into the cool evening air. There's a nice path along the river just a block from here. Well lit, public, not at all the setting for a crime documentary, I promise. Alex laughed, nodding his agreement. A walk sounds perfect. Lead the way. The riverside path was indeed well lit, with the city skyline reflected in the dark water like a mirror image of stars. They walked close enough that their shoulders occasionally brushed, continuing their conversation with the easy rhythm they'd established over dinner. So, was this an adequate reward for returning my wallet? Alex asked playfully as they paused to watch a boat glide past, its lights creating rippling patterns on the water's surface. More than adequate, Jamie replied, turning slightly to face Alex. In fact, I'm starting to think I got the better end of this deal. There was a moment then, one of those charged instants where possibility hangs in the air like suspended particles of light. Alex found himself studying Jamie's face, the way the riverside lamps cast soft shadows that emphasized expressive eyes and the curve of a smile that had become increasingly familiar throughout the evening. I'd like to see you again, Jamie said softly, breaking the silence. Not as a reward or repayment, but because I enjoy your company. I'd like that too, Alex replied, surprised by how much he meant it. What had begun as an obligation, a thank you for a kind deed, had transformed into something neither of them had anticipated, a genuine connection, fragile but promising. As they continued their walk, making plans for a second date the following weekend, Alex reflected on the strange serendipity that had brought them together. If he hadn't lost his wallet, if Jamie hadn't found it, if either of them had been a different kind of person, more dishonest, less brave, this moment would never have existed. Their peaceful evening took an unexpected turn, however, when Jamie received an urgent call from the aquarium. One of the rehabilitation tanks was malfunctioning, and as the newest staff member, Jamie was on call for emergencies. I'm so sorry, Jamie apologized, genuine disappointment evident. I have to go check on this. Some of our rescue animals could be at risk if the water parameters change too drastically. Don't apologize, Alex assured him. Go save your fish. Or whatever animals are in the tank. Sea turtles, actually, Jamie replied with a grateful smile. Recovering from fishing line injuries. Rain check on the rest of our walk. Absolutely, Alex confirmed, watching as Jamie hurried toward the nearest taxi stand, turning back once to wave before disappearing into a yellow cab. The abrupt ending to their evening left Alex with mixed emotions as he made his way home. Disappointment at the interruption mingled with a warm glow of satisfaction at how well the date had gone. There had been none of the awkward pauses or forced conversation that often plagued first dates. Instead, talking with Jamie had felt natural, as if they were continuing a conversation rather than starting one. Over the next few days, they exchanged messages about Jamie's aquarium emergency, successfully resolved, all turtles safe, and made plans for their second date, a visit to an interactive art exhibition that combined Alex's interest in design with Jamie's scientific curiosity. Yet as Saturday approached, Alex found himself increasingly anxious, questioning whether their connection had been as strong as he remembered or merely a product of gratitude and unusual circumstances. These doubts were compounded when, the day before their planned second date, Alex received a cryptic message from Jamie. Need to talk to you about something important. Can we meet at the Daily Grind tomorrow morning instead of the exhibition? Sorry for the change of plans. The message sent a cold spike of apprehension through Alex. In his experience, need to talk rarely preceded good news, especially coming from someone he was just beginning to know. Had Jamie reconsidered? Met someone else? Decided that returning a wallet didn't actually constitute grounds for a relationship? Alex spent a restless night imagining various scenarios, each more disheartening than the last. By the time he arrived at the coffee shop the following morning, the very same one where they had first properly met, he had nearly convinced himself that this was Jamie's way of letting him down gently. Jamie was already there, sitting at the same table by the window, 2 cups of coffee waiting on the table. Unlike their previous meetings, Jamie appeared nervous, fingers tapping in irregular rhythm against the ceramic mug. "Hey," Alex said cautiously, sliding into the seat opposite. "Everything okay?" Jamie took a deep breath, meeting Alex's gaze with determination. "I need to tell you something, and I'm not sure how you're going to react." Alex steeled himself, nodding for Jamie to continue. "I wasn't completely honest with you," Jamie began, words coming out in a rush. "About finding your wallet. It wasn't exactly how I described it." Confusion replaced Alex's anxiety. "What do you mean?" "I didn't find your wallet in the park," Jamie admitted, looking genuinely contrite. "I found it at the coffee cart near the aquarium entrance. You had just left. I actually saw you walking away, but I didn't connect that it was your wallet until I opened it to check for ID." Alex blinked, trying to process this revelation. "So, you didn't find it in the park. You found it at a coffee cart. That's the big confession." "There's more," Jamie continued, fidgeting with a napkin. "I could have called out to you right then. You weren't that far away. But when I opened the wallet and saw your photo, I don't know how to explain it without sounding creepy, but I was intrigued. So instead of running after you, I waited and called you later." "You were intrigued by my DMV photo?" Alex asked slowly, still not understanding the gravity of this confession. Jamie groaned, covering face with both hands momentarily. "This is coming out all wrong. What I'm trying to say is that I orchestrated our meeting in a way that might give me a chance to actually meet you properly, not just hand your wallet back and walk away. I suggested the coffee shop instead of just mailing it to you or dropping it off. And then I suggested dinner as a reward because I wanted to see you again." Understanding finally dawned on Alex. "So you what? Used my lost wallet as an excuse to ask me out?" "Yes," Jamie admitted, looking mortified. "And I've been feeling terrible about it because it feels manipulative in retrospect, even though my intentions were good. You deserve to know the truth before we went any further." A moment of silence stretched between them as Alex processed this information. Then, to Jamie's evident surprise, he began to laugh, softly at first, then with increasing amusement until he had to wipe tears from his eyes. "I'm sorry," Alex said, noting Jamie's confused expression. That's your big confession? That you found a roundabout way to ask me out because you thought I was attractive? You're not upset?" Jamie asked cautiously. "Upset? Jamie, I thought you were about to tell me you were married, or moving to Antarctica, or secretly a serial killer who collects wallets as trophies," Alex explained, relief evident in his voice. "Finding out that you just had a slightly awkward way of expressing interest is honestly the best news I've heard all week." Jamie's tension visibly melted away, replaced by cautious hope. "So you don't think I'm a manipulative creep?" "No," Alex assured him, reaching across the table to take Jamie's hand. "I think you're someone who found an opportunity and took it, albeit in a slightly roundabout way. And considering how well our date went, I'm glad you did." "Really?" Jamie asked, still seeming uncertain. "Really," Alex confirmed. "Though I do have one condition for forgiving this heinous crime of wallet-based courtship." "Name it," Jamie said earnestly. "You have to let me pay for our second date," Alex stated firmly. "The art exhibition is back on, and it's my treat. No more of this reward business. From now on, we're just 2 people who enjoy each other's company, wallet drama aside." The relief on Jamie's face was palpable, breaking into a smile that reminded Alex why he'd been so drawn to Jamie in the first place. "That seems more than fair." As they left the coffee shop together, heading toward the art exhibition that would constitute their official second date, Alex found himself reflecting on the strange chain of events that had brought them together. A lost wallet, a white lie born of attraction, an honest confession, all pieces of a story that could have gone very differently with just a few changed details. 6 months later, As they celebrated their half-year anniversary at the same Thai restaurant where they'd had their first date, Alex presented Jamie with a gift, a new wallet, sleek and modern, with a small note tucked inside that read simply, "Some things are meant to be lost so that something better can be found." Jamie laughed at the gift, understanding its significance immediately. "You know, most people just buy flowers or chocolates for anniversaries." "We're not most people," Alex replied with a smile. "Our story started with a wallet." It seemed fitting. "Speaking of our story," Jamie said, reaching into a pocket to retrieve a small, wrapped package. "I got you something too." Inside the package, Alex found a custom-made keychain featuring a miniature leather wallet. Engraved on the metal clasp were the coordinates of the coffee cart where Jamie had actually found the original wallet. "So I never forget where it all began," Jamie explained, watching Alex's face with tender anticipation. "It's perfect," Alex said softly, leaning across the table to kiss Jamie briefly. "Though I think we've both proven we're pretty good at finding things worth keeping." As they continued their celebration, surrounded by the now familiar sights and scents of the restaurant where their journey together had truly begun, both reflected on the remarkable serendipity that had brought them together. A lost wallet, found by exactly the right person at exactly the right moment. A small misfortune that had led to something neither could have anticipated, but both now treasured beyond measure. In a city of millions, where countless objects are lost and found every day, one leather wallet had somehow found its way into the hands of someone who saw not just its contents, but its potential. The potential to connect two lives that might otherwise never have intersected. It was, both agreed, the best reward either could have imagined. Total _char_count, 18,736.